Welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UKOCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the 28th most popular podcast for people who think that high rocks are large boulders on the top of a mountain.
Ian, I am back. Welcome to the Swift Half. You haven't sacked me.
I haven't sacked you, Alan. And I think we've got a lock in. I've locked the doors. It's just going to be me and you for the next hour-ish.
Does that mean I'm going to get put on a pip?
You might be put on a pip, yeah.
You can put me on a pip after the weekend I've just had. And the week I've just had with friends. And I'm going to call them family going forward. You included because you came down. But I've had an amazing weekend.
Really worried you were going to go friends and enemies for a second there, the natural progression of that. Or maybe friends and families for natural progression. I don't know. Listener, let us know. Am I just being negative, or is it friends and family or friends and enemies?
I always say friends and family. I've never said friends and enemies. Me. That's just me, though. I don't have enemies.
No, you don't.
I've shot them all.
Yeah,
I haven't really.
Officer, this part is the bit you need to listen to.
Yeah, they're going to find bodies somewhere now and I'm going to get arrested. Aren't they? You were once arguing with this bloke in 1973.
Oh, gosh. I'm thinking every unsolved mystery in Barnsley is going to be solved by Saturday morning. My throat is actually a little bit sore. So, listeners, just excuse me. It is raw from 48 hours of screaming and shouting, but we're going to come on to that a little bit later. Ian, I'm on the beer tonight, but first of all, what are you drinking? I feel really guilty. I'm going to say I'm drinking a cocktail of sorts.
That sounds a little bit ominous. A Manhattan mojito.
No, a 7-Up with cherry.
7-Up with cherry?
Technically, it's a mocktail, I guess, because it's got the lemony of 7-Up with some cherry in it.
That's all right. I get that. Are you trying to stay off the beer, ready for all the running you're going to be doing the weekend at IROX?
Yeah, kind of. And I really need to drop some weight. We'll come on to what I did at the weekend as well later on, and listener, I'll explain why. But yeah, I need to drop away a bit, and there's hardly any calories in it. It's still not good for me, but I didn't quite want to do a James Burton and drink water yet. That might be next week.
Oh, calories. Now you've just got me. I'm having a look what calories I'm on now. Oh, I'm on 174 calories per can of my Stella Artois.
You've got a Stella Artois. Well, 7-Up is 2 calories, but probably enough E numbers in here to make a reception class hyper.
I always remember we were talking about this at the week, cream soda. The pop man used to come around and you get cream soda, and it was like the best ever pop at the time.
It's been a while since we mentioned the pop man. He's a semi-regular feature on the show, isn't he? But yeah. The pop man, and listeners who were born, say, 90s, noughties, or 10s, we probably don't have any listeners born in the 10s, come to think of it, but for those in the 90s and noughties might not remember the pop man, but he travelled around on a milk float, didn't he, Alan?
Mine was actually like a big wagon with like loads of cases on the back. The Ben Shaw's, it was where I was.
It was Ben Shaw's near me, and it was a converted milk wagon. I'm suddenly wondering whether your guy worked for Ben Shaw's as a lorry driver and it all had fallen off the back of the wagon.
That's probably about right, actually.
But yeah, you have this guy, he'd give you glass bottles every week, and it was quite a swizz because it kind of made you want to buy more because you got money back for your glass bottle.
10 pence? Yeah, I think it was like 20 pence a bottle of pop. I'm going back some time now. 20 pence a bottle of pop, but you got 10 pence back for every bottle you took back. So
in effect, you had kind of done a subscription service to a pop.
I like that subscription service to the pop man. It was the only pop you could get because everything came in bottled glass bottles back then. And if you went to the local shop, you couldn't walk back with 10 bottles of pop, as well as your 5 bottles of milk. because your milk only came in 1 pint bottles.
Oh gosh, never have you been more terrified than walking back 4 pints of milk in glass bottles in one bag.
You get home and you'd be praying that one wouldn't be broken, otherwise your mum would give you a clip right here.
She would. She really would. And to this day, you don't know why the shopkeeper just didn't even double bag it or give you 2 bags.
No. I remember going on holiday with my eldest now, Lewis, and at the time he was about 11, and we're coming back through the airport. I can't remember where we're going to. I want to say Dominican Republic, but I'm not sure. And we're coming back through the airport, and he wanted to carry the bag that got a bottle of vodka. I'm going to say vodka, whatever it was. It was some alcoholic that you bought in duty free. And going along on the concourse, he decided just to drop it. Don't know why he decided to drop it. I don't know if whatever, but there was like spirit everywhere, and he just cried virtually for like hours on end. And I didn't shout at him. I was like, it's an accident, you know what I mean? It was one of those things. But yeah, I think he was frightened because he'd broken something that was a couple of quid, you know what I mean?
But back then, duty free was real duty free. You could have gone back and bought 2 for it with a tenner.
You know, I think if we hadn't been actually on the concourse on the way to the actual aeroplane, I would have probably gone back and got one. But it was one of them. I'm going to go away in an airplane. I always get to the terminal just as they're going, last ones, please. This is your last call in. This is your last call in. No, I'm here. Thank you. I hate getting to that, that terminal part and just sat there around just waiting for ages, watching the airplanes land and come in.
As someone who usually gets there about an hour and a half before my flight, I hate them people who come right at the end holding up the entire plane.
Yeah, that's me. You're always going to get me. That is me. I don't think I hold it up. Maybe I do. I don't know. But I am that person who's last minute there.
Of course you do, because if everyone's booked in, they don't need to do a last call, so they can get through all their stuff. I guess we've only got a predetermined flight time anyway, but we could get through taxiing and be ready to go. If everyone turned up bang on time, we'd be fine.
When I was in Egypt, here's another story for you. When I was in Egypt in an airport, we was watching the World Cup on television, and they called final boarding, and someone came up to me and he went, "Should you be on?" So an Egyptian security guard, and we were the only English people there. He went, "Shouldn't you be on flight so-and-so?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "They've been shouting you for 15 minutes." And we were watching football. Everyone was watching football, but we were the only English people. Yeah.
So that was one you actually did hold up, and
yeah,
I would have flown off. I would have left you there.
More hassle, isn't it, with taking the bags off, isn't it, and stuff like that, I guess. I was lucky I didn't miss that flight. I've got to admit, I was lucky I didn't miss it, but yeah.
Did your bags follow you? Because I would have took them off just for lols and got you on it, and left your luggage on the concourse.
No. Talking of flights, we've got a good segue here. Netherlands, Jack Carpenter, Libby Joyce over there this weekend.
I'm not sure if he flew over, but they did pop over to... Were they invited by Span? I don't know the full story.
Yes, so from my understanding, this was the European Elite Race Series, and they got invites. Libby went over. One of 15 European ladies to be invited over. Very daunting, that, for a 15-year-old.
Yeah, but surely it's also a good luck charm being 15 out of 15.
Well, I suppose so. But I have spoken to Katie, so I've spoken to Libby's mum. Libby had an amazing race. She got 9th overall. But to put some of this in context, Libby was a little bit, in her words, a little bit overwhelmed with all these people. There was an interview to start with, and they're interviewing everyone and how good they were and amazing races. And she went off really, really hot. Got to the first obstacle, and as Katie got there, they had to run down into the village and then come back. Katie got there. She'd passed, and Libby was in second place at this point. And it wasn't until the sandbag carries that it started to take its toll on Libby. She is quite small. I want to say quite frail in terms of a strength is great for a body weight. But if you're carrying at 15-year-old, you're carrying big weights. You know for a fact it's not the same as someone who's 25, 30 carrying big weights. So they started to pick her off a little bit one by one. But the story is Jack had finished his race while Libby was still out on course, and Matt Brook held him back in the finish area. And there's a reason for this. So there's a lot of talk at the minute in the racing world about coaching from the sidelines. Have you been hearing the rumours about this?
I've not, but if people are going to yell at the intern for telling me to move faster, then I'm all for it. By all means, go straight ahead and prevent her from yelling at me. Is that what we're talking about?
Not quite like that. But there's a whole thing of coaches coaching their athletes from the sidelines. So you come to a rig, you know, and it's like, move your left leg, lift your left leg up, move your right leg, you know, this type of thing. And if you're a coach, it's hard not to do that. If you're a fan, it's hard not to do that. But the thing is, a coach shouldn't be doing it. Yeah. The racer is on that course, it's their race, and it's against the rules. And Libby was doing that well. Matt Brook was frightened that Jack was going to go out and not necessarily coach her, but cheer her on and help her and do all that. A bit like, you know, at football, we're all armchair football enthusiasts, and we're saying, on your left, on your right, pass it down the wing, you know, that type of thing. A little bit worried, so we held him back because he didn't want to spoil Libby's race because she was having the race of her life. And apparently Jack appreciated it. Everyone appreciated it when he saw Libby came in ninth place and can't be taken away from her.
No, that makes a lot of sense when you mention it like that, because even if he was there and silent, the perception that he could be helping, because I'm probably assuming too much here, but I reckon Jack and Libby, it would be fairly obvious they'd come there together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it will.
So, yeah, even him being there could have easily made a judge or a racer, or more likely a racer spectator, think, oh, well, he's helping her there. I wasn't aware of that thing about coaching and all that. I thought you're giving me a great idea, Alan.
Go on.
Surely we could make a song now, similar to the UKOCR, about taking on a Spartan rig.
Put your left hand here and your right hand there. Here's your leg, there's your leg. Spin around and jump.
Hit the bell or you get 30 burpees today. And that's what Spartan's all about.
Oh, it's a Spartan race.
Yeah, our subscriber numbers have now gone down from 13 to 0.
Yeah.
We promise you, listener, we'll never try to sing again. But that's what an amazing thing. And I love hearing about stories like that, about people going out. We had Becky and Will on a couple of weeks ago. Thank you, Sophia, by the way. She got in touch and said in places the audio wasn't the best on that. So we do apologize for that. It was a great story. I think sometimes when we have more than 3 of us on, Alan, it just goes a bit wonky, doesn't it?
It's the internet in Barnsley, I think, Ian. It just decides when it's going to work and when it's not going to work.
I think you didn't put the 20p in the meter.
It's 50p in the meter now. I'll tell you, lad.
Well, inflation and all that, I guess. But we listened to Becky and Will go and do theirs. Will doing 2 races one day. These are the stories I like. I want to hear more and more about this. You know, race ventures.
That's hashtag race ventures.
Hashtag race ventures. Although it's probably some company. Actually, Alan, check it tomorrow. And if it's not a limited company, let's set it up before this goes out.
Set it up. I've gone royalties with James Burton, hashtag beat Burton this weekend.
You did. Speaking of race ventures, let's talk about the race venture of a lot of people who went to sunny Ashbourne.
The Farmyard Jam. Ian, I am over the moon with how it's gone. The feedback's good. I can't explain the event to people. I want to try and explain to it. As we said, it's 6K. Well, it's 5K, just under 3 mile, and then you have an option of running another mile 0.2, or doing 10 obstacles. It sounds easy. It really sounds easy, and it started easy. You know, lap 1, everyone's there, and the banter started right from the start. Me and Jamie, the other race director, were like pretending to like get them to quit. We were sat there offering them beer to quit. You know, come off course now and have a beer and things like that. And we had so many amazing runners turn up. I'm not going to name them all. They all know who they are. You can go online, you can see them. And some people have got set themselves targets, 24 hours, and some people hadn't. And we had some amazing people go well out of their comfort zone. But one of the things that really stood in my mind, there was the guy turned up called Roy Austin. He's a middle of the pack runner. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. He's like me and you, likes to go out, likes to have fun, likes to run. And he was on, I want to say, the fourth lap of them all. And you had got top out. I mean, James Burton, the winner of the UKOCR last year. Sean Merriweather, Tough Mudder winner numerous times, as well as other athletes there. And he came flying past the halfway point in like 12 minutes. And we're going, oh, you don't need to go fast. You don't need to go fast. And he went, hang on a minute. This is the only chance I'm ever going to get to beat Burton and Merriweather. Because everyone was taking it nice. Instead, there was a long way to go. It was this is like 4 out of potentially 48. So the word #beat Burton came quite quickly. So me and James are now going halves on that. If anyone uses it, you need to pay royalties to me and James.
That makes sense. But yeah, I think it was our friend Michelle Keogh who, when you went live with a start line, saying she loves an ultra start because it's the only one that it could speed up and it would still be slower than most races.
Yeah, it was downhill. We put the start on a downhill on a purpose because we wanted them to run a little bit. So we put it on a downhill and we went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then people just walked across the start line, and then 10 minutes later into a little jog.
You know what, Alan? Next year, you should put something up 100 meters down and say, if you don't reach that in 10 seconds, you're out.
That would be funny. Oh, that would be funny. The whole week had a couple of things. Going to shout out to Kelly, or Kerry, as she was known to us, because I kept getting her name wrong. So Kelly Burgess, Team Raw. She was really making complaints, but the funniest complaints ever. So the first one is under the cargo net. Yes, it's cold. So when you go under, the ground's cold. She would like underfloor eating there next year. We'll see what we can do. In the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, the grass was wet. She would prefer it if we went out and dried it with a hairdryer and some microfiber towels. So we're going to look at doing that potentially next year. I say look at it. We're not going to do much more than look at it, but, we will look at it. But the whole banter throughout the weekend was so much fun. I'm going to give a couple of shout outs though. So Team OBF, which is Oliver Brown Fitness, 30 laps they did between them as a pair. Team 3Bs, 25 laps. Tom DePlanter won the singles in 26 laps. The biggest surprise for a lot of us was Jane Casey. She came 10 laps. She was about to quit, and she went up to be the support. She came in at 17 yards. Tom DePlanter could have quit at 18, but he decided to go and continue and see how many he could get, and he got to 27. But absolutely amazing. The weekend on the Sunday, we had the 24-hour event, so the Saturday into Sunday, and we had a sprint finish. So we actually had 3 teams make it to 24, and they had to sprint. So it was the 23-hour warm-up for a 1-lap sprint, which was taken by Team Ivanhoe.
I saw that, and it became a burpee off at the end, didn't it?
Yeah, the 3 teams that got there were not obstacle proficient. They were runners, and they had run not far off every lap. They had done the extra loop, but they realised doing the extra loop was slower than clearing 6 obstacles and potentially having to do 30 burpees, because it was 6 burpees for every obstacle you failed. And they realised that you could, if you knock the burpees out quicker than running. So
I want to give a shout out to, did you say Team Ivanhoe?
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to their runner at the end who made one of the smartest moves, because the person in second, I'm not sure who he was, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, looked clearly like a better athlete who was catching him up all the way through the obstacles.
Yeah.
And Ivanhoe's runner, when it came to the last obstacle, started to roll, meaning that you couldn't overtake him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That was actually second and third place. That was the second and third
was that
place.
Second and third?
That was the second and third.
I must have missed the first place sneak in then. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was just a heads up move by them. So yeah, it came to a burpee off second and third. Can I give a shout out, Alan?
You can.
I don't know her surname, but the t'other Jane from last year.
Jane Campbell.
Jane Campbell, yes, which obviously makes sense given who she was running with. Me and the intern we only spent, I want to say, 5 hours with you, if that. And we were speaking to her, and she was saying, "Well, I did 10 laps last time, and I've come into this not really having done much running. I'm exhausted, and this was maybe 6 laps in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see how it goes, but I might drop when the first person's dropped," or words to that effect.
Yeah.
And I told her, "I reckon you've got it in you to beat last year," and she was like, "No, I'm going to quit as soon as I can, or I'll get timed out." She did 13 laps, Alan.
I know.
She made it past midnight. I'm so proud of her.
There was so many people at that event that came to us and said they'd never run as far as what they'd run. They were doing PBs either for time or they were doing PBs for distance, and some of them got both. It's an amazing. So yeah, 18th of May next year, but it's only 24 hours. So we're doing a straight up 24 hours next year.
18th of May. Let me just check something, because there's something else that I might be doing that particular weekend, which we're going to go on to in a second. While I'm just checking this, have you got anything else to cover about the Farmyard Jam?
Yeah, so I was just going to turn around and say we are going to keep it limited. So it is going to be maxed out at 100 people. So that could be 25 teams of 4, but it's going to be 100 people or 100 solos. It will be no more. It will become a first sign up, first serve basis, whatever that saying is. There's a
first come, first served.
First come, first served basis. The prices are going to start at £35 for the first 50 people. Then the next 25 get it for 45, and then the final 25 get it for 55. So the earlier you sign up, the quicker you sign up, the cheaper it is for you. We think it's going to sell out at 100 people. We're really confident. Team Rumble, Team Raw, everyone who turned up really rocked it. And the runners who came, they're really keen to go back next year as well.
And are tickets available yet?
No, they will be available. I'll let everyone know on the podcast when they go, but it's not going to be available for about another month. Maybe 3 weeks if I can get me act into gear. I go away in 2 weeks' time, and I need to get so much done in the next 2 weeks. So the plan is, but I'm going to turn around and say right now, they are going to go on sale privately to the people that came this year first. We want them people back. So once they've had 10 days, 14 days of signing up, then it'll go out to the public.
No, that makes sense, and that's quite fair, Alan. What about people who did the first ever event? Because I know there was a couple of people who didn't do it this time. So, for example, Katie couldn't because she was gallivanting in the Netherlands.
They're on my list. There's about 5 people that couldn't come. The trial people that came that couldn't make it this year through one reason or another. They're on my list to get it first. We want to reward loyalty, and that's where it's going to go forward. And
I will say that's kind of what I felt when I was there, Alan, was you kind of built a little bit of community there as well, in that you did have repeat people. Sort of last year's, I can't even remember. Wait, what was it? 12 started?
12 started last year. Yeah, the trial one to make sure we knew what we could do and what we couldn't. 12 people, 12 of our closest friends, I would say.
12 people did it, and like you say, about half of them came back and they brought some more friends.
That was it. The people were just bringing more friends. I think Colin, there's a guy that travelled right up north of Scotland, 800-mile round trip. Gary, he loved it.
Even having to put up with you and Jamie for however long he did.
Yeah, high five in it. When do you ever get race directors to high five at every lap?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you every single lap. I'm not sure. I do want to ask a question though, Alan.
Yeah.
Did Jamie hit his personal goal?
He did, yes. So Jamie had a personal goal. For anyone who knew, he wanted to stay awake for 36 hours. That was his personal goal. He went right from Friday morning, 5 a.m. Friday morning. He went right through to, I want to say about 6 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on Saturday evening. So, yeah, he went all the way through.
And has he woke up since?
Yeah, he has. He only had a little sleep then, but then what he did, he on the Sunday night, so Friday into Saturday night had a little sleep. So Saturday night had a longer sleep. He had another sleep on Saturday, which was a bit longer. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well done to Jamie. And also well done to your other close friend, Rob, and his daughter, Ellie. They had a good run of it too.
Yeah. Talking about run, Rob had a really good run. He spent 30 minutes in the toilet on lap 17, so he missed the cutoff and he couldn't get off the toilet. So, yeah. Nutrition, Ian. Learn your nutrition is what I will say with that.
That makes a lot of sense. It's all about nutrition, and it's so hard to think of what you want to eat.
The people realised there was too much time to, in the transition area, they were coming back far too fast. An example is within the 24-hour runners. So we had Squadron 303 turn up. I don't want this to turn into a farmyard jam, so I'm going to leave it after this one. Squadron 303 turned up. 6 of them turned up. They were smashing every lap. 26 minutes to slowest would be 34. They all got to round about 12 o'clock and, 12 hours in, and then they just started dropping like flies. And I think it was Marcini that came in last, and he said to me, I booked this because you told me it were a park run with 10 obstacles. And I thought, that's easy peasy. What's hard about a park run with 10 obstacles? He says, but I'm 15 laps into it. He says, this is bloody hard. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, it is.
It is, and I'm going to plug a previous podcast of yours, which was the one with Happy Runner, whose name I can't... Vic Owen?
Vic Owens, yeah.
Because she talked about her backyard experience, and her advice was simple, wasn't it? Get to a certain point and start walking if you're ahead.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people do. I think that didn't go down well for Sean Merriweather. He didn't like the walking. You could see he wanted to run. He was itching to run, but he knew that if he did, he was going to be a little bit low down. So Sean pulled that quite. His heart wasn't in it. You could see it wasn't, and he saved himself for the Suffolk backyard, which is coming up this coming weekend. So I hope he gets a crew for that so he can do it.
I don't so much think his heart wasn't in it. I think it was more he achieved what he wanted to do. He wanted to experience this.
Yeah.
It was a training run. And also a big shout out to Craig as well, my good friend, because he came into it, and him and Sean they were trying to set the lap records, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, let's see if we can get a lap record in here. That Sean just jogged it round.
He did. But what I was looking for, Alan, I'll get us back on track, was when the Manchester 10K is. And it's already been announced for next year.
Yeah.
And guess what date it is?
You're going to say 18th of May, aren't you?
No, it's the week after.
Oh, we missed the Manchester 10K, which is good. And we missed Nuclear and Spartan because they've announced them on the same date next year, which is the 12th, which is gutted.
So bang in the middle, you don't have a lot of big races, because I know that if the Manchester 10K had not been on the Sunday, Alan, you'd have been overwhelmed.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Everyone who was at Manchester 10K would have come to the farmyard for a 24-hour race.
But I will say I was at the Manchester 10K, and Alan, I set a personal record.
What did you set?
I set a personal worst on the Manchester 10K course.
What did you? I didn't even know you'd done the Manchester 10K, because I know you was. Jen was doing Decker, wasn't she?
Jen was doing Decker on a Saturday. We'll go into that in a bit. I was doing the Manchester 10K because, honestly, Alan, do you know how we keep talking about how races are struggling for numbers?
Yeah.
Well, I've done this race quite a lot. I don't even know how many times I've done it. A handful. I've not done it every year, but sometimes work pays me to do it. Sometimes I'll just buy a ticket. But about 4-6 weeks out, they were giving discounted tickets away.
Ooh.
So I think it's usually about a 40 quid race, which is a ridiculous amount for a 10K. And they do prey on the fact that lots of people, this is their first 10K.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think I got it for 30 quid. You know what? Because of the atmosphere in Manchester, because it is like our London Marathon, it's worth 30 quid. And I put in the same time In fact, I put a slower time than I have for any other previous one.
Right.
My race started at 12:30.
That's a bit late for a race, isn't it?
For Manchester 10K, it's early. I am so used to starting at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So it's still felt quite busy, but we must have got less people than usual.
Yeah. It does seem a bit strange, that.
But as for a race, I went in it completely unprepared. I hadn't run for a bit. It was a hot day, and yeah, I jogged around, and I don't even know the time. I think it was like 75 minutes, Alan. Something like that.
That's not too bad. It was hot, weren't it? So I'm going to sit around and say that wasn't too bad, Ian.
Yeah, it was hot, and I am out of running shape. I need to get back in running shape, which is why I'm going to try and drop the weight because, as we all know, it's all weight versus power. Increase your power to weight ratio, you get faster. Simple as that.
So the plan for you is to lose weight. So diet pop today.
Diet pop today, full fat tomorrow. No, I'm kidding, listener. But I just want to drop a little bit and get back to where I was and do more strength work as well.
I get all of that. I'm constantly watching my weight. I quite easily put weight on, and it takes me time to get it off. I am constantly watching my weight, but I tend to watch because I've got these scales that tell you your body fat. So I tend to look at my body fat more than I do my weight. So I'm currently at 16%. So I know some people are less, some people will be more. I'm happy with 15, 16%. So I tend to watch that rather than anything else.
That's actually good because I think it's anything lower than 20 is okay if I remember my sports science from GCSE.
Yeah. So I know that. I know it's not bad. I wouldn't know. Don't get me wrong. You say under 20 is good. I wouldn't have known it was that. I just said I know that it's not bad. But that's what I watch because I just don't. I can't watch my weight, even though I get on scales and I know exactly what day it tells me. I couldn't tell you what I am in stones and pounds. It just tells me what I am overall.
What I am trying to do, Alan, is cut down on snacking. So you know how you get cravings for snacks?
Yeah.
I am going back to what I used to do is just drink some water or just, particularly at night, just ignore your cravings because they will disappear.
A few people I know who lose weight at work. We have a big. I'm going to call it the biggest loser at work. The girls call it something else, but the biggest loser. And they all eat rice cakes. They snack on rice cakes.
I've done that for a while. I guess the problem is it doesn't work if you just replace the calories with rice cakes.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. Like I said, I don't diet, so strange.
But I will put a bow on this Manchester 10K on two things. One, I raced in Mo's last ever, Mo Farah this is, his last ever 10K.
Oh, did Mo run?
Mo ran. Of course, he may have finished a good 5 hours before I started, but it was still the same race, so I'm claiming it. And the other thing is, if you've never done it, it's currently about what I paid for it, 30 odd quid. It's worth it because I mentioned earlier, it's like the London Marathon. In fact, you get all the people cheering and all that.
Yeah.
But it's a 10K at the end of the day. As I prove, you can just go out there and jog around and get your money's worth. And then you're not exhausted. You can go to a pub.
How many were there?
I'd say probably 20,000, maybe 30.
Wow. That's quite good, that.
It's a massive race. Most of them are doing it for the first time. And you'll get a lot of work dues and stuff. So it is like the Manchester equivalent of the London Marathon.
Yeah. You touched on earlier on there. I'm going to move on a little bit. Touched on earlier on there about racers struggling. Have you seen today that British Obstacle Sports have teamed up with Tough Mudder up in Scotland?
Yes, I have, to try and encourage the last couple of holdouts who might be thinking, you know what, I want to go to Tough Mudder Scotland, but I don't want to spend whatever it is on a race. So what have you done, Alan?
30% discount. So any member of British Obstacle Sports can sign up for Tough Mudder Scotland and they will get 30% of the current entry price. That's quite a good deal.
That is a really good deal. And I'm not sure what that gets you, but it probably gets you more money off than your British Obstacle Sport membership if you're not a member.
Without a doubt. would you say it's going to be about £100 at this later time? Wouldn't it? I would have said Tough Mudder. I don't know. I'm
not
guessing.
sure. Should I Google?
You Google.
I Google. While I'm doing that, do you want to give the listeners the other British obstacle sports news?
You actually beaten me to it, yeah. So British obstacle sports news coming up, people. We have got a list of all the people that have qualified to represent Team Britain. And as I go onto my phone now to find it, here we go. So this is everyone from nuclear that's qualified. So Becky Neal, Federica Di Cario, Louise Ferryman, Morgan Maxwell, Daniel Titcombe, Jason Brunnett, Josie Lloyd, Cheryl Lee Pace, Pip Rainbow, Karen McQuarrie, Shelley Tompkins, Emma Kirkwood, Elizabeth Brimicon, Cheryl Beach, Shyla Duhaney, Tamar Barclay, Claire Barracroft, Kerry White, Sancha Martin, Jake Brown, Jordan Brown, Connor Wickens, Matthew Walker, Zach Leverage, Darren Martin, Kenny Sams, and Zach Harper. Out of that list as well, big shout out to Shelley Tompkins. She was one of the female to complete the low rig over there. Scott Barker, Chris Shipley, Leon Brinkham, James Burton, Ryan Ibbotson, John Redmond, John Poole, Edward Lambert, Jason Wright, Richard Jarvis, Anthony Mills, Paul Bridges, Dave White, Andrew Durrance, and I think Libby Joyce, if I remember rightly, on there. Yeah, and Libby Joyce. I think I've got everyone else. So, yeah, well done to all you guys who have qualified to the 15K AG British National Championships and Elite categories.
You may have missed out Barry Buchanan, though.
Did I miss out, Barry?
I think you went from Ryan straight to John. But it doesn't matter. We've given him a shout out now.
Sorry, Barry. You know I love you. Yeah, I won't want to miss Barry out because, he's a boxer.
Yeah, you don't want to upset Barry. I've now checked on the website. The 10K is currently 100 quid. The 15K is 110. And Infinity is 145. I'm curious. There's no 5K here. So what are Infinity people doing?
Well, see, this is the big question, isn't it? Because if we go to 10 Mile next year, which is what was announced and you and Martin talked about, what's going to happen to Infinity? Are we just going to do 10 mile loops?
I guess it would be like the old multi-lap, although it would kind of be a bit sad as well because that kind of eliminates a lot of options, and there's going to be a lot of people who finish on 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough ask. I don't know really what's happening with it, Ian. Maybe there might be a cut-off point. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's just straight up 10 miles and 10K or 15K and 10K laps that you've got to do. Interesting.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see what happens when we announce. But what we have announced this week, Alan, is some obstacles. I've seen this on the notes.
Oh, I love this, Ian. We talked with Giles. Giles came on. He mentioned that there was going to be obstacles from WTM coming over to the UK, and we tried to nail it down. We couldn't nail it down with him when we had him in the Swift. But they have announced that over in Scotland, they have got Dublin walls. So Dublin walls are something we've had in the past over here, haven't we? A long time ago, if I remember rightly.
One of the first ever toughest. In fact, the first ever toughest.
Yeah. And then now we have got Dingleberries, which I know you liked this one over there.
Dingleberries, is that like Trevelyan Traverse or something similar?
I think, isn't this the cargo net that's just rigged really high up?
It is the cargo net that's rigged really high up, and it will rip your hands clean off.
Now, I'm told that there is a technique to this, and that's to go to as close as the stanchions as you possibly can to avoid the sag, the droopiness, and everything else, and you get a little bit of, what's the word? Stability, more stability near the stanchions.
That's true, and that's actually the same for every cargo net. You should always look at what kind of cargo net it is and try and get to the sides, or if it's one with a structure down the middle, a truss down the middle, go to that. And the other tactic, this probably doesn't work for Dingleberries, is make sure that you climb one strand up with your hands and feet in 2 strands, if that makes sense.
At either side, yeah. So when you're going up, Mudderhorn, yeah. So when I'm going up Mudderhorn, I actually do that. That's something I learned while I was in the forces, which you grab the middle strand as though it's a rope, you go up that, and then your feet go at either side of it.
Yeah, and lots of people still struggle with that, but it's such an easy tip to give, unless of course you're at Farmyard Jam where they use a fishing net for the cargo net, and trying to get any kind of traction is impossible.
And that's the whole idea behind it. Yeah. Moving on to other events. Two new event come out of one thing. Before we do that, Diablo Race, which is happening in September. I have actually just signed up for it. So as you was getting on earlier on, I have just signed up for it. I want to say 20-something of September. I'm going to go back now and have a quick look. It's 23rd of September, which is in North Lincolnshire. Currently 47.37, including the charges, which I think is quite a good deal. I don't know what you think. Do you think that's a good price? Or
I think that's an okay price for a race.
Yeah, they're promising good things. I'm seeing the videos that are coming out, and they're looking good. And then the other one, there's no date yet on this one, but the Battle of the Den for the Lions Team Shield. A chance for all teams from around the country to go head-to-head in a full-on day of short races at the Lions Den. So this is by Rawfit. Watch this space.
When you say Battle of the Den, I instantly think gladiators.
I'm thinking the same. I'm thinking. We're going to get spear throwing with moving targets.
Yeah, Rick, you better have your best speech ready. I am. How's that speech go, Alan?
I am Spartacus. Which one is it?
No, the gladiator one. I am such a body, such a body, such a body.
Oh, yeah, Aurelius Cornelius of the 53rd Light Brigade Unit, commander of the blah 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 blah.
Father to a murdered wife.
Yes.
Husband of a murdered wife. Father to a murdered son, and I will get my vengeance in this life or the next, or something like that.
Oh. Imagine Rick standing up and doing all of that.
Actually, yeah, I can. So, Rick, gauntlet's been thrown down. Please do it.
Just as your opening statement. Welcome to the Lions Den.
We probably ruined his race. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah, no. I think it's going to be good. Lots of teams going. Hopefully lots of teams going. There's a whole team thing going at this moment in time, isn't there? I think the teams are making a resurgence in OCR, which is good to see.
Which is very good for you, because we run a thing on the Instagram every single week called Team Tuesday. You're never going to run out if we keep getting new teams.
Exactly, yeah. We love a good Team Tuesday post. I love a good Team Tuesday post.
We do love a good Team Tuesday. But should we talk about individual for a second? Did we mention once again that the Boss 100 meters is this coming Sunday?
This coming Sunday, PT Barn, am I right?
PT Barn, it is. So if you're going to High Rocks, there is still time to go to Manchester and then head back to PT Barn to try and qualify to represent the British obstacle sports at the 100-meter challenge. I know there's still time because Becky Neal said she's doing it. So people can do it.
This would be. I've got visions now of like Becky, Lou, and other people literally like going, they finish the race and they go past the finish line and they just keep on running. There's no stopping to pick up the patch or anything. They just keep on running.
Well, the award ceremony for High Rocks is at 8:30. So will that play in your mind? As Becky's going round, we're in third place, because you're going to know because they do the waves. They do the waves. Do you remember, Alan, you did that race with Rum guy, Ian Exeter, where you did climb, and you actually did it all in the age groups.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And that's what they do. So you're going to have some idea where you finish as you're doing it. So do you reckon if she's in her and Dassos, if they're in like second place, she'll be hanging back so that she doesn't have to stay for the awards?
Grabbing all the slow down. We don't want.
No, I'm sure she'd carry on. She's too competitive to do that.
100% too competitive. She's amazing, and what she did at Nuclear, hats off to you, Becky. I've just mentioned Nuclear. Can I just talk about Nuclear for 1 minute?
Of course you can.
Because I've done the fantasy results out. So the fantasy results that we did, and so I've got the top three. Do you want to know the top three people? Top three predictors are?
I presume it's me number one, providing you listened to last week's show and added in my points.
You're quite right on that one.
There we go.
If I counted last week's result. No, it is. It is. Ace Fletcher managed to predict both the men's and the females winners. He was the only one to do it, and that boosted him right up. He finished on 32 points, closely followed by Jason Morland, who got the top three men in the correct order, as well as Federico in second for the women. So he got 31 points, only 1 point behind. And then Becky Neal, keeping the podcast people on the podium. Becky, well done. Top three, 28 points. So there's your top three. Going to add them all up this week. I did worse than my first week.
Do you know what's quite embarrassing? Based on my memory of my picks from last week, because unfortunately, Alan, when I read them out on podcasts, I then recycle the piece of paper that I've got it on. But based on my memory, I don't think I would have beaten Ace and Jason anyway. What a shame.
I know. Good shout to Dawn, though. So Dawn, don't know her surname, just the name Dawn. She picked all 5 of the top 5 women just in the wrong order.
It's a good shout.
So
that's hard to do because for nuclear in particular, I know there was less people to choose from than Spartan, but it did feel a bit harder because of how good the level of competition was.
Very much so. Very much so. She was the only person to do it in either men's or women's. So a lot of us got caught out by Kate Stillwell not rocking up. She decided to go to a wedding instead.
Where's her commitment to the series?
Where's a commitment to the fantasy series, mate? Forget the UKOCR series. We're about the fantasy series.
You know, listener, because Alan actually has a legitimate shot at winning this, you should see the size of a trophy he is lining up for this. The UK OCR series budget is going to take quite a hammering here for Alan to get something that looks like the Ryder Cup.
I was thinking more of the Stanley Cup. You know the Stanley Cup in ice hockey? Have you seen the size of that? Is that about 6 foot tall?
About 6 foot tall, yes. Yeah. I can quite imagine you. This isn't a joke anymore, is it? The winners of the series are going to get patches and maybe a postage stamp for third place.
No, it's good. It's a bit of fun. Talking about a bit of fun, 2 more shout outs before we talk about your next one. We had 2 new patrons join us this week. So welcome Louise Ferryman and Mike Nolan.
We're making him pay now.
Well, he's volunteered to pay. He helps us out and he's volunteered to pay. So yeah, well done. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you both. And we love all our Patreons. And Alan, next week, should we shout them all out?
I think we should, yeah. We haven't given a shout out for about a month, I think. So yeah, we're at that point we need to do it.
Let's do a shout out. Can we also give a shout out to Kieran McAvoy because he brought a story to our attention that we didn't discuss last week, but we're going to discuss now because I thought you'd have opinions.
Opinions? I am absolutely flabbergasted. So the story is Alexander Sorokin, great runner, a lot of people know him, decides to break the world 100-kilometer record. Okay? He does it by 6 seconds. Yeah? Great feat, world record. But it's the times, Ian. It's the times. So he ran it 100 kilometers in 6 hours, 5 minutes, 35 seconds. That's equivalent to 5 minutes 53 a mile or 3:39 a kilometer. So he's basically run 20 park runs, and each park run has taken 18 minutes and 17 seconds.
Unbelievable.
That's absolutely crazy. He ran a marathon in 2 hours 34.
But as great as that achievement is, I still reckon he'd only managed 11 yards of the farmyard jam.
Yes, he would. You know he would. Everyone knows he would. He wouldn't get past the ninth.
I can't even... Yeah, you're right. I can't even begin to imagine just going that fast. Well, just going that fast for half a mile, let alone 60 odd, because it was 100k, wasn't it?
100k. I don't think I've ever run 5:53. Even on a 100-meter sprint, I don't think I've run a 5:53 pace mile.
I think Strava has said I have once for about a split second. You know when sometimes your watch goes haywire when you go under a railway bridge?
Well, I think my Strava says I'd run that fast once, and that was when I left it on while I was in the car coming back from Nuts.
You set a segment record, didn't you?
every segment record coming up that M1, right?
Oh God, can you imagine if there actually is segments on the M1?
The problem is, I did do it, and then I deleted it, so I lost my whole Strava for nuts. But it has messed up the algorithms on my Strava because it does say that my best ever 5K should be 18 minutes, and no.
That's what I don't like about Strava. I'm not sure anyone who pays for Strava, because I'm too tight to. You should have this ability to delete sections of the run, not for a podium, but for that where it's obviously wrong. And Strava could actually flag this. Yeah, dear a muddy duck, you appear to be breaking the world marathon record. Are you sure you did this?
Yeah, I get that. Talking about Strava, do you ever plan your running routes?
Yay and nay. In that, I've got a few near me. I know a few routes, and in my head, I can kind of add up what everything is, if that makes sense. So, say I want a 5K,
Yeah.
I can think, oh, well, if we go to a village and back, that's 2.5 miles, and then I can just add a bit on, I'll know it. But I don't sit there with a map. I just kind of have a general idea where I'm going.
Okay. I don't. So I like to go off the beaten track, and sometimes we'll do what we call survival route. So you choose 1 mile at a time. But when I'm on my own, I like to go onto my Garmin and plot a little route out, maybe somewhere I've never been before. If I'm going to do 10 miles, little 10-mile route. Well, I found an app called Komoot. That's KOMOOT. It's free. And literally, it has all planned routes near you. So you don't even need to do one. It just has what people have ran, and just you click in, I want a 10K, and it sorts a route out for you so quickly. And like certain routes like FKTs it has on there and everything. Really good app for anyone who's into trail running, off-road running and that.
Does it download onto your Garmin as well if you have a compatible device?
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So then what you can do, it creates a GPX file, which you just download direct to your Garmin, or I think you even do it with Sunto, I think. Don't know about Chorus. Probably do it with Chorus, but I know Sunto and Garmin you can download too.
Was Chorus the watch you had, which was great for about 3 months?
Yes, it was. I mean, it was an absolutely amazing watch, but it's a road running watch. For me, it's not a watch for off-road. The reason, not one for getting mud on it. The reason why is because to go through the screens, it's got a little twisty handle. We used to wind up on watches. It's got one of them that scrolls up and down through the screens. That gets full of mud, and it's useless to go up and down. And you have to press that in, and it won't go in because you've got mud behind it, so you can't stop it. You got to wash it, and yeah, great watch for road running. Amazing watch for road running though.
And it's probably not waterproof either. So as soon as you wash it, that's the end.
Yeah, exactly. I'm using a Garmin, I want to say a Fenix 6 Pro at the moment, which I'm finding absolutely brilliant. I've also got a Sunto, and I can't remember the model I've got that's really, really good, but that is my road running watch now. So I'm using the Sunto for road running and my Garmin for off-road.
Awesome. I'm in the market for a new sports watch. So, Alan, you're always best at this. If you see any special offers on Amazon, because I've never paid full price for a Garmin yet, then let me know. And listener, again, if you see anything, let me know.
We'll keep an eye out for you, Ian.
Fantastic. And speaking of deals, Alan, Rat Race, they've been away for a while, but they offered me a duffel bag this week for 25 quid.
Oh, was it a big one or a little one?
I have no clue. I just saw it and I've added to notes because it's been a while. So I don't even know if it's any good. I didn't even click on the link, to be fair. But there is a 20 quid duffel bag, I believe. While we talk about things, though, should we just quickly run through some fitness racing news?
Yes, definitely, because I want to know how Jen went on at the weekend.
Yeah, Jen did absolutely great. We went to Deca Mile, which was at Clitheroe, which is Deca, but with 150 meters of running. Alan, you would have loved it because he was as sadistic as you. It was 80 meters uphill, 80 meters downhill.
Like it. Good man.
And it was fun. And it was so good, Alan, and you saw this at Farmyard Jam. I know we're saying that a lot today. And if anyone's drinking when we mention the word Farmyard Jam, then I apologize because we have been saying Farmyard Jam a lot.
Yeah.
There we go. They had a Deca Strong, as you know, about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And out of that, they had various teams there, and there was maybe 7 here, 5 there. The teams came back with friends. So there was a team that I interviewed for my show from Champion Boot Camp.
Yeah.
Who one of them had done High Rocks and 3 were doing it for the first time. And I think they had 2 other people who were on podcast. They brought 20 odd to it.
Oh, wow.
Then you had a team which used to be called, I want to say Pain Hub, which is such a cool name, but they've now been incorporated into the gym that they train at, because as well as that, they had other teams. So they had a female team with a different name and maybe a masters team with a different name. So they're now going by Studio 3. Again, I want to say maybe there was 9 at the Decker Strong. This time there must have been over 30 of them.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. That's really good.
So it was a great event. At the Decker Strong, they only had 2 lanes, because the way a Decker Strong and Mile work, Alan, is it's sadly not a race, it's a time trial.
Yeah.
So they set up all the exercises and you do them as per that, and you have your own personal judge, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
But they managed to put another lane on this time, so they could run 3 back to back.
Oh, so like 3 all times?
3 at all times, and what they do is you'd have your own judge, and once they thought the person who was on the course had reached a certain point, based on how fast you thought you'd go. So you'd probably have like 6, maybe sometimes 9 people running all at the same time.
Wow. That's better, because they didn't have that when they did it last time, did they?
No, they had 2, so you'd probably have, say, maximum 4 people at any one time, and they kind of got into a little bit of trouble there because of they didn't give themselves enough time to get everyone through, because they were putting, I want to say they were putting 8 people through every half hour, which when you've got, that's someone setting off every 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which, if someone's slow, means you can get a bottleneck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was absolutely great. Great to see everyone. We didn't spend that long there because we were tired after visiting you. We didn't get home till late, as you know. Not quite as tired as you lot were, but we went maybe with a couple of hours before Jen's wave. Got a little bit of footage for the show and for the IG. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, listener, next time you see Cross Training Clitheroe putting on a Decker, go and do it. You won't be disappointed. Speaking of Decker, Alan, 2 more big news items. One, we mentioned this on the show previously, but Strive Fest is the next Decker event.
Right. Is this the one in Wales?
It is. It is near Snowdonia.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately the weekend of Europe's Toughest Mudder and other things. But if you're not going to Europe's Toughest Mudder, then get yourself to Strive Fest. They've got a Decker Strong on the Saturday and a Decker Mile on the Sunday.
I'm going to say, are you going to go there? Because I'm going to ETM. Are you going to go down to Strive Fest?
I think I've got a wedding on.
Oh,
which is why I'm not at Toughest Mudder. So I think I've got a wedding on.
Not you and Jenny. You just not told none of us.
I don't believe so. Although Jen controls the diary, so I couldn't really tell you. We'll find out. The other bit of Decker news, Alan, is this week Forder's Gym of Winter Strive. If you remember, we went there.
Yes.
We're
building the little OCR playground outside.
They are building the obstacle racing. I want to say they're working with Dave Peters on that, which is an excellent choice.
Yeah. Anyone who works with Dave Peters down at Rumble, and he put on the junior champs last year and things like that, they're going to get a good obstacle course.
Exactly. And we're not sure when that opens, but we'll let you know. But meanwhile, they're now a Decker affiliate.
Oh, nice one.
Which means, because we know we've got experience with putting on events, presumably they'll be able to put on miles and strongs in the future.
That sounds absolutely brilliant, that, because I know you raved about that gym and saying how good it was and that. And I remember rightly, haven't they got an AstroTurf track around it or something? They
do. So at the moment, Decker have this idea that Decker Fits have to be like put on by then as essential events.
Yeah.
In theory, and this is just my wild speculation, they would have enough room there, I want to say, for a Decker Fit if they're allowed to do one. Whether they're allowed to do one, who knows? We'll find out in the future.
Wow. It's all happening. And then this weekend, we're away Oh, go on. Sorry, was you going to say something else there?
Yeah, I was going to say, but even if they can't do a deck of fit, it will be one of the funniest deck of miles you'll do because that AstroTurf's cool.
Awesome. While we're talking about fitness racing this weekend, High Rocks World Championships, we are there.
We are indeed. We're going to go and get some media of some description. Alan, we've no idea what we're doing at this point as we're recording this, but we'll figure it out.
No, but there's even something bigger than High Rocks World Championship this weekend.
What's going on?
Fitness Racing Podcast have their own patches.
We got our own patches.
We've got our own patches. If you want one, we will put a link in. Hopefully, we'll have them available on sale. They will be collection. You cannot purchase them off us on the day. We cannot do that with High Rocks. But you can purchase one through PayPal, £5 each or 3 for a tenner. However, all our patrons who currently right here, right now, all of our patrons will get one free of charge, is what we're saying, aren't we, Ian?
We are indeed. And Alan, should we sweeten the pot? Should we give out a free patch to the next 4 Patreons as well? The ones that get us up to an even 20.
That sounds good to me. So whatever patrons they are, whether it be £2, £4 or £6 Patreon, it doesn't matter. The next 4. So once we've got 20 patrons, we'll all get a patch. Come and see me and Ian. And Mike's going to be there. So Mike will have someone in. But you need to have paid beforehand. So I will have a list of people who have paid.
Yeah,
before.
Exactly. We are not selling these on the day, but if you've purchased them off us, it's a natural place for us to deliver them. Otherwise, we can post them out.
Otherwise, we can post them out, And we'll stand the postage. Yeah, we stand the postage.
We stand the postage, so so if you've paid and you see us on the day, we should have some with us, and if not, we'll post it out to you.
Yeah. I'm excited, Ian. We have got merchandise for Fitness Racing Podcast.
We do, and we should probably mention, Alan, are they Velcro?
They are, yes. They are Velcro. You know, I haven't even seen... I have seen them in a picture, and I know they've been delivered, but I haven't actually had my hands on one yet, Ian. I'm excited to get my hands on one.
So they are perfect for your Built for Athletes bag, which I mentioned on the podcast I did this week with Sarah Holden, which is a great one. Go and listen. How Built for Athletes is to fitness racing what Kit Bricks is to OCR.
Oh, yeah. They are, aren't they? Thinking about it, they are, aren't they? I like that.
They absolutely are. And Alan, I think I'm out of notes. Have you got anything else to say?
I haven't. Who have you got on your podcast on Monday? On Wednesday, sorry?
Hopefully, we'll have some athlete interviews from this weekend.
Fantastic.
If we don't have athlete interviews from this weekend, again, Alan, what are you doing Tuesday?
Washing my hair.
Washing your hair. Me too, Alan. Alan, who have you got on your podcast?
I have got Darren Grigas. So I mentioned the other week that rat race down at Burley Hall. Is it Burley Hall? Burley House? Where they used to have the dirty weekend. I've now turned that into a bit of an obstacle play park, whatever you want to call it, with extras on. And we got Darren to come on, talk a little bit about that because he's going to be running it, but also to talk about him and his feats that he has done, which is, it's amazing. Marathon des Sables is one of them, but you need to listen to him. I'm not going to give nothing away with it because this guy is an absolute monster when it comes to ultra running. So, yeah, we talk about that and many things. It goes on some proper tangents, Ian.
Unfortunately, you've recorded it now, so you can't ask him about duffel bags.
No, I can't ask him about the duffel bags. It's actually been out. Our patrons have had this to listen to, and I know 6 of them have actually listened to it already. So they've had it for about 4 or 5 days, I think, now.
See, patrons, that's another thing. Not just the patch, but you get early access to anything we can put out early, which will be pretty much anything which we record, which isn't subject to an embargo, because occasionally we get told that news can't go out yet.
We do. And on that, Ian, I've got nothing else.
Nope. So I will say it's a goodbye from me.
And listeners, thank you for listening and joining again. It's a goodbye from me. You take care. We love you all. Bye.